Yeah, so first and foremost, child trafficking is a form of child abuse. Often, in my experience, young people I've spoken to have sought help from somebody from the same community as them. So my name is Imogen Spencer Chapman and I am the Head of Training and Practice Development at ECPAT UK. I am also a qualified and registered social worker and have been working with child victims of trafficking since 2008. And before then have been working with refugees and asylum seekers since the year 2000. So ECPAT UK stands for Every Child Protected Against Trafficking. We're a small London-based charity but work across the whole of the UK. We have three main strands to what we do, the first being research, campaigning and influencing. So it's quite hard to identify the exact scale of trafficking in the UK. We believe there are many cases of child trafficking that go unseen, and as they can be very hard to identify. However, we do have some useful data to work with to guide our understanding on the scale, and it comes from the national referral mechanism. So professionals will, if they have concerns that a child may be trafficked, have a duty to refer into the national referral mechanism. So that's where we get our data from. And in 2024, over 19,000 individuals were referred into the NRM. That's adults and children. And of those over 19,000, 31%, that's nearly 6,000 children were referred in. And of those children, we know that 78% were for boys and 22% were for girls. So children trafficked to the UK can come from a huge variety of different backgrounds and from all over the world. We do see certain trends. So for example, we have seen in the last few years high numbers of Vietnamese and Albanian children trafficked into the UK primarily for criminal exploitation. We've also seen large numbers of children coming from the global south. Many children currently are fleeing countries such as Sudan, where there's a huge conflict, also Chad, Eritrea, and many of those children are passing through Libya, which is a country where refugees are routinely captured and held in large immigration detention centres and experience often very, very high levels of abuse, torture, and also exploitation, primarily labour exploitation. And some of those young people will then arrive in the UK. We also see we see children coming from other parts of Africa, for example West Africa, who may be trafficked informally into the UK for things like domestic servitude and sexual exploitation. But those countries are by no means the only country, so you can see there's a huge number of countries of origin from which victims are trafficked. Children will be coming from positions of disadvantage or poverty, or there'll be something that has happened that will trigger them to be in a position of vulnerability that is then abused by adults, and they will be brought into the UK and perhaps placed in a domestic context where they're expected to do a lot of housework, huge amounts of childcare as well, and sometimes that can then lead on to other forms of exploitation, particularly things like sexual exploitation. We see children in domestic servitude may be allowed out. They might be seen by teaching assistants at the door of a primary school where they have to take a younger child to school or a nursery. They might interact with neighbours when they go to the shops, or they might be seen at a local church or mosque when they're taken there with the rest of the family that they're living with. So they might be seen, but they're unlikely to ask for help because of the control tactics that are used by the traffickers. So thinking about why child trafficking and exploitation can exist in our society is a really big question, and one that I can't answer in a short space of time. You know, child trafficking and exploitation happens, it's an abuse of power, and there will always be adults, sadly, in our society who take advantage of that imbalance of power to abuse children for gain, whether that's financial or personal. So in recent years, we've seen unaccompanied refugee children facing greater risk of being trafficked once they're here in the UK. They may not have been trafficked to the UK, but they face levels of vulnerability to trafficking here. We know that there are links between organised criminal groups that operate internationally and link up with UK-based criminal groups. And young people in the care system here who are refugees, we are seeing some of them, maybe they have debts that they have to pay. We are seeing young people whose family members are being held for ransom by militia groups in countries that they've come from where there's conflict, and where a child feels an obligation to safeguard their family, or where threats are being made against them or their family members back home. There are so many challenges faced by child victims of trafficking once they've been identified. It's almost hard to know where to begin. I think there are a number of ways faith communities might come across people at risk of exploitation. It could be that a child actually attends a church or attends a mosque regularly, especially if they're in domestic servitude. It's possible that instead of being left at home by the family where they're living, they may be taken to the mosque or the church. So it's possible that church communities will be interacting unknowingly with child victims. And also I talked about when a child escapes a situation of exploitation, they may come across or seek help from a community, from a member of the community on the street. But equally, that member of that, if they do get help from a member of the community, they might be pointed in the direction of a church or a mosque, for example, where they know where the person who's directing them there believes that they might be able to get help. So we would like to see faith groups, community leaders have the safeguarding training and specifically child trafficking training, so that they know what to look out for if somebody comes to them saying, I'm concerned about this child or this young person. I think there might be something going on for them that isn't quite right. In terms of what churches and faith communities can do, I think understanding, care and belief is important. You know, we need more specialist foster carers for trafficked children, and so I would encourage anyone who's thought about becoming a foster in the past to make inquiries with their local authority or with an independent fostering agency about becoming a foster carer. We need to apply all of the knowledge we have about trauma and trauma-informed care and really think about what that means in practice. And I really believe in this concept of professional love. You know, we work with young people who've lost and witnessed sometimes the loss of their family members, and we need to honour the losses that they've suffered and find ways to sit with young people and remove the shame and the guilt and the blame that they might experience. Also help them build positive memories of the people in their lives who they've loved. And that's not an easy task, and it takes time and care and dedication, but we also, all our young people, they all want positive futures and positive outcomes, and we're only going to do that if we believe in them and if we give them everything they need, the tools that they need to go forward, to recover from their past experiences, but also the confidence that they can go forward and have really great futures in a safe place.